Later is the biggest lie you tell yourself. I'll start working out later. I'll call them later. I'll pursue my passion later. Later is a graveyard where dreams go to die. It's not even a real time. It's a psychological escape hatch that lets you avoid discomfort right now while pretending you'll handle it eventually. Think about it. How many times have you said later and actually followed through? Most people use later thousands of times throughout their lives, and 90% of those laters never happen. That person you kept meaning to call, they're gone now. That business idea, someone else did it. That apology you were going to make, too late, they've moved on. The brutal reality is that later is just never with better marketing. Your brain loves it because it gives you the emotional relief of having made a decision without the actual cost of taking action. You get to feel productive without being productive. You know what works? Doing it now. Not perfectly, not completely, just starting. Because later is where your potential goes to die quietly, and you won't even notice until you're 60, looking back at a life full of "I was going to." You regret what you didn't try, not what failed. At 20, you're embarrassed about mistakes. At 60, you're haunted by chances you didn't take. Psychology research consistently shows that older people's biggest regrets aren't about failures. They're about inaction, the relationship they didn't pursue, the career they didn't try, the trip they didn't take, the words they didn't say. Here's why. Failure gives you something. Even when you crash and burn, you get a story, a lesson, data about what doesn't work. But regret over inaction? That gives you nothing but a ghost of what might have been. You'll spend decades wondering what if because you chose comfort over possibility. Think about your biggest fear right now, starting that business and failing, asking someone out and getting rejected, trying something new and looking foolish. In 30 years, you won't remember the sting of that failure, but you'll absolutely remember choosing not to try. So take the shot, make the attempt, risk the failure, because the only unforgivable mistake is letting fear decide your life. Busy doesn't equal productive. You're drowning in tasks, emails, meetings, notifications. You work 12-hour days. You're always moving, always doing something, and yet somehow nothing important actually gets done. Welcome to the busy trap. Being busy makes you feel productive. It tricks your brain into thinking you're making progress. But busy is often just procrastination wearing a disguise. Here's the hard truth. Most of what fills your day doesn't matter. Answering every email immediately doesn't matter. Attending every meeting doesn't matter. Checking social media 47 times definitely doesn't matter. What matters is the 2 to 3 high-impact activities that actually move your life forward. Everything else is noise. Busy people impress no one except themselves. Productive people change things. They focus on outcomes, not hours. They say no to almost everything, so they can say yes to the few things that actually count. Stop wearing your busyness like a badge of honor. It's not. It's a red flag that you don't know how to prioritize. Figure out what actually matters, do that, and let the rest burn. Compound interest works for you and against you. Einstein allegedly called compound interest the 8th wonder of the world. He added, "Those who understand it, earn it. Those who don't, pay it." And most people are paying it, hard. You have credit card debt at 22% interest, student loans at 7%, a car payment at 9%. Meanwhile, your savings account earns 0.01%. You're compounding in the wrong direction. Here's what this looks like. You carry $5,000 in credit card debt. At 22% interest, if you only make minimum payments, you'll pay back over $15,000 and take 20 years to clear it. That $5,000 mistake costs you $10,000 and 2 decades. Now flip it. You invest $5,000 at age 25 in an index fund averaging 10% returns. By 65, it's worth $226,000. Same $5,000. Opposite outcome. That's the power of direction. Start now, kill high-interest debt like it's trying to kill you, because it is. Then flip the script. Start investing, even if it's just $50 a month. The earlier you start, the less you need to invest, because time does the work. Compound interest doesn't care about your intentions. It just magnifies your decisions. Make it work for you, or it will work against you. There's no neutral. Being cheap and being frugal are completely different. Cheap people buy the $20 shoes that fall apart in 3 months. Frugal people buy the $100 shoes that last 5 years. Cheap people skip preventive maintenance and pay for emergency repairs. Frugal people maintain things and avoid disasters. Cheap people buy low-quality everything and end up spending more long-term. Frugal people invest in quality where it matters and save everywhere else. The difference: cheap is about the immediate price. Frugal is about long-term value. Cheap people optimize for today and pay tomorrow. Frugal people think in systems and timelines. Charlie Munger said, "I have always been amazed by how high the quality of people rises when they are playing with their own money." Being frugal means treating every dollar like it's your own because it is. Where does this show up? Cheap people won't spend $20 on a book that could change their life, but will blow $100 on a night out they'll forget. Frugal people invest in education, health, and tools that amplify their effectiveness. Cheap people save pennies and lose dollars. Frugal people spend strategically and save everywhere else. Stop being cheap with your future and frugal with your time. That's backwards. Be cheap with distractions. Be frugal with investments. Know the difference. Comfort is the enemy of growth. You have a routine. It's predictable, safe, comfortable. Wake up, same breakfast, same commute, same tasks, same people, same evening, same weekend. Repeat for years. It feels stable. It's actually stagnation. You're not growing. You're just aging. There's a difference. Growth requires discomfort. Learning a new skill is uncomfortable. Starting a business is uncomfortable. Having difficult conversations is uncomfortable. Changing your life is uncomfortable. But comfort is a slow death. It's the warm bath you fall asleep in and never wake up from. Neil Donald Walsh said it perfectly. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Not near the end, at the end. You have to leave it completely. Every person you admire stepped out of their comfort zone repeatedly. They took risks, they failed, they tried again. They lived in discomfort long enough to grow. Meanwhile, most people spend their entire lives inside the comfort zone and wonder why nothing ever changes. The answer is simple. Change requires discomfort. If you're comfortable all the time, you're not growing. You're just comfortable. And comfort feels good until you're 60 and realize you wasted your potential because you were too scared to be uncomfortable. Choose growth. Accept discomfort. That's where life actually happens. Your phone is stealing hours you'll never get back. You pick up your phone to check one thing. 2 hours later, you're deep in a scroll hole, wondering where the time went. Your phone is a thief, and it's stealing the most valuable thing you have, your time. The average person spends 4 to 6 hours per day on their phone. That's 1,460 to 2,190 hours per year. That's 60 to 91 full days. You're giving your phone 2 to 3 months of your life every year. What could you do with an extra 3 months? Learn a language, write a book, build a business, get in shape, master a skill. But instead, you're scrolling, watching videos you won't remember, reading posts that don't matter, engaging in arguments with strangers. Your phone makes you feel connected. You're actually alone. It makes you feel informed. You're actually distracted. It makes you feel productive. You're actually wasting your life 30 seconds at a time. Johann Hari researched this extensively. Your attention didn't collapse. It was stolen. Your phone is designed to be addictive. Every notification is a dopamine hit. Every infinite scroll is a slot machine. You're not weak. You're being manipulated. Fight back. Delete social media apps. Turn off notifications. Use screen time limits. Take back your hours. Because the hours you lose to your phone are hours you'll never get back. And at the end of your life, nobody wishes they'd spent more time scrolling. Your 20s are for failing fast, 30s for building, 40s for harvesting. Your 20s are not for figuring it all out. They're for failing fast and often. Try things, quit things, fail spectacularly, get fired, start businesses that fail, date the wrong people, move to new cities, make expensive mistakes. This is the decade where failure is cheap, because you have time to recover and few responsibilities tying you down. Your 30s are for building. You've failed enough to know what doesn't work. Now you double down on what does. You build the career, you build the relationships, you build the systems. You're still making mistakes, but they're smaller. You're refining, not flailing. This is when you establish foundations that will pay off for decades. Your 40s are for harvesting. The seeds you planted in your 30s are bearing fruit. The skills you developed, the relationships you nurtured, the investments you made, they're all compounding. You're reaping what you sowed. If you built well in your 30s, your 40s are abundant. If you coasted in your 30s, your 40s are a struggle. Reid Hoffman, founder of LinkedIn, said, "An entrepreneur is someone who will jump off a cliff and assemble an airplane on the way down. Your 20s are the cliff. Your 30s are assembling the plane. Your 40s are flying it." Most people waste their 20s being too careful and waste their 30s still trying to figure it out. Don't. Fail fast while it's cheap. Build while you have energy. Harvest when you're established. There's a season for everything. Know which season you're in. The pain of discipline weighs ounces. The pain of regret weighs tons. Discipline is uncomfortable. Waking up early sucks. Working out is hard. Saying no is difficult. Eating healthy is boring. Saving money hurts. Discipline weighs ounces. It's a small, manageable discomfort. But regret weighs tons. The regret of wasted years. The regret of missed opportunities. The regret of a body you destroyed. The regret of relationships you ruined. That pain is crushing, and it never goes away. You choose your pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Everyone pays. The question is when and how much. Discipline is paying now in small amounts. Regret is paying later in massive amounts. Discipline builds, regret destroys. Discipline is temporary discomfort. Regret is permanent anguish. Choose your pain wisely. Jim Rohn said it. We must all suffer from one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is discipline weighs ounces while regret weighs tons. You're going to hurt either way. So choose the hurt that builds you instead of the hurt that breaks you. Choose discipline, because the temporary discomfort of doing what you should do beats the permanent agony of not doing what you should have done, every single time. Waiting for the perfect moment guarantees you'll never start. You're waiting to feel ready, to have more money, to have more time, to be more confident, to know more. And while you're waiting, people less qualified than you are out there doing the thing, making mistakes, learning, and getting ahead. The perfect moment is a myth sold to perfectionists by their own fear. Here's what actually happens. You wait for perfect conditions, but perfect conditions require you to already be in motion. You can't learn to swim by standing on the beach, analyzing water temperature and wave patterns. You learn by getting in the water and almost drowning a few times. That's how it works. Every successful person you admire started before they were ready. They launched the product with bugs. They took the job they weren't qualified for. They started the company without knowing how. And you know what happened? They figured it out. Because action creates clarity. Motion creates momentum. Waiting creates nothing but regret. So stop waiting for permission, perfect timing, or the right moment. There's only now, and later you'll wish you'd started today. 5 years will pass whether you work toward your goals or not. It's 2026 right now. In 5 years, it'll be 2031. That's happening regardless of what you do. The time will pass. The years will go by. The only question is, what will you have to show for it? Will you look back and see progress, growth, achievement? Or will you see 5 more years of the same excuses? Most people massively underestimate what they can accomplish in 5 years and massively overestimate what they can do in 1. 5 years is enough time to completely transform your body, learn a new language, build a business from zero to profitable, become an expert in a skill, change careers entirely. 5 years is a long time when you actually use it. But here's what usually happens. People think 5 years is so far away and do nothing. Then 5 years pass and they're exactly where they were, only older and more bitter. Don't be that person. Start today. Do something small toward your goal every single day. In 5 years, you'll either be grateful you started or you'll be making the same excuses again. Choose now. Your future self is watching your current decisions. Every choice you make right now is being recorded, not by some external judge, but by the person you'll become. Future you, the one living with the consequences, is watching current you make decisions. And current you keeps screwing future you over. You eat junk food. Future you deals with health problems. You skip the gym. Future you carries extra weight and joint pain. You waste time on social media. Future you regrets the lost hours. You avoid difficult conversations. Future you inherits broken relationships. Current you gets the pleasure. Future you pays the bill. The interesting thing is, this works both ways. Every good decision is a gift to your future self. Every workout is a deposit in your health account. Every hour spent learning is an investment in your capability. Every relationship you nurture is insurance against loneliness. Start treating your future self like someone you actually care about, because in 10 years you'll either thank yourself or curse yourself, and current you gets to choose which one. Sleep is non-negotiable for peak performance. You wear your 4-hour sleep schedule like a badge of honor. I'll sleep when I'm dead. You chug coffee, power through, and call it hustle. Meanwhile, your cognitive function is deteriorating, your immune system is shot, your emotional regulation is broken, and you're making terrible decisions. But, sure, you're crushing it. Matthew Walker, sleep scientist, makes it clear, the shorter your sleep, the shorter your life. Sleep deprivation destroys everything: memory, focus, creativity, health, relationships. You literally get dumber with each hour of lost sleep. That brilliant idea you had at 2 a.m., it's probably terrible. Your sleep-deprived brain just can't tell the difference anymore. Elite performers sleep 8+ hours, not because they're lazy, because they understand the math. You want to perform better? Sleep. You want to be healthier? Sleep. You want to live longer? Sleep. It's not optional, it's not a luxury, it's biology. Your brain needs 7 to 9 hours to clean out metabolic waste, consolidate memories, and restore function. Skip it, and you're running on fumes. You might feel productive, but you're producing garbage. Prioritize sleep like your life depends on it. Because it does. The hustle culture lie that sleep is for the weak. That's how you die at 50 with a heart attack. Sleep or suffer. Those are your options. The sunk cost fallacy. You went to law school, 3 years, 6 figures of debt. You passed the bar, landed at a decent firm, and you hate every second of it. The work is soul-grinding. The culture is toxic. You dread Mondays like they're a funeral. But every time you think of leaving, the same thought traps you. I worked too hard to give this up. That's the sunk cost fallacy. You're confusing effort with obligation. Because you paid a steep price to be here, you assume the only way to honor that cost is to stay. But the cost is already paid. Staying miserable doesn't get you a refund. It just adds interest. This fallacy turns high achievers into high-functioning prisoners. You think quitting would make it all a waste. But what's actually wasteful? Sacrificing your future to justify a decision you made 5 years ago with a totally different version of yourself. You're not walking away from value. You're walking toward alignment, toward sanity, toward a life that fits the current version of you. And no, you're not throwing it away. You're using what you learned to stop sinking deeper. The time and money are gone whether you stay or leave. The only question is, do you waste more years trying to justify the past, or do you cut your losses and build something that actually fits? Stop drowning to prove you didn't make a mistake. You already did. Now, make a better one. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. You've been working for months, maybe years. Nothing's happening. You're frustrated, exhausted, ready to quit. So you do. 2 weeks later, the breakthrough would have happened. The client was about to say yes. The algorithm was about to pick you up. The momentum was about to shift. But you quit right before it clicked. This happens constantly. Most people quit right before the breakthrough. Success isn't linear, it's exponential. You work for months with no results. Then, suddenly, everything hits at once. That's how it works. The compound effect, the tipping point, the breakthrough. But it only happens if you stay long enough to experience it. Most people don't. They quit in the messy middle, right before the magic happens. Then they watch someone else succeed and think, they got lucky. No, they just stayed longer. Seth Godin calls this the dip. The dip is the long slog between starting and mastery. The dip is actually a shortcut because it gets you where you want to go faster than any other path. The dip is where most people quit. It's also where winners are made. Because if you can survive the dip, the frustration, the plateau, the grind, you'll hit the breakthrough. Everyone quits in the dip. Don't be everyone. Stay. Grind. The breakthrough is closer than you think. Your job won't love you back. Loyalty is a one-way street. You stay late, you skip lunch, you work weekends, you cancel plans to meet deadlines. You do this because you're loyal, because you believe the company will take care of you. They won't. The moment cutting you saves money or makes someone's quarterly numbers look better, you're gone. No hesitation, no loyalty. Just a severance package and a LinkedIn post about pursuing new opportunities. Companies aren't evil for this. They're just not your family. They're economic entities making economic decisions. But you're treating them like they're your identity, your purpose, your life. And that's the trap. Warren Buffett said, "The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken." You're building chains of misplaced loyalty while your actual life, your health, relationships, dreams, collects dust. Here's what you do instead. Be professional, not loyal. Do excellent work during work hours. Then go home. Invest in yourself, not the company. Build skills that transfer. Build a network that's yours. Because when they decide you're no longer useful, all that loyalty you gave them, it doesn't transfer to your next opportunity. Your skills do. Your relationships do. Your health does. Protect those first. Skills matter more than degrees after your first job. You spent 4 years and $100,000 on a degree. You studied theories, passed tests, wrote papers, and for your first job, that degree mattered. It got you in the door. But after that first job, nobody cares. They care what you can do, not what you studied 7 years ago. The world is full of people with impressive degrees doing mediocre work, and people with no degrees running circles around them. Why? Because skills compound, and degrees don't. A degree is a snapshot of what you knew at 22. Skills are a living demonstration of what you can do right now. The person who spent the last 5 years building, creating, and learning real skills will always beat the person who's been coasting on credentials. As Naval Ravikant put it, specific knowledge is found by pursuing your genuine curiosity and passion rather than whatever is hot right now. Translation: stop collecting certificates and start building capabilities. Learn to code, learn to write, learn to sell, learn to build things people want. These skills will serve you for decades, long after your diploma is yellowing in a drawer. Degrees open the first door. Skills keep every door after that open. Who you know matters more than what you know. This lesson makes people uncomfortable because it feels unfair. You want to believe that talent and hard work are enough. They're not. The best opportunities don't get posted on job boards. They get filled through conversations. The best clients don't come from cold outreach. They come from referrals. The best partnerships don't happen at conferences. They happen because someone introduced you to someone else. Keith Ferrazzi wrote, "The currency of real networking is not greed, but generosity." And he's right. This isn't about collecting business cards or having 5,000 LinkedIn connections. It's about building genuine relationships with people who can open doors you didn't even know existed. Your network is your net worth, but only if you're actually adding value to those relationships. Start now. Reach out to people you admire. Offer help before asking for it. Show up consistently. Have real conversations. Because 10 years from now, the difference between where you are and where you want to be won't be your skills. It'll be who picked up the phone when you called. Build the network today that will catch you tomorrow. Your body keeps score. Every choice compounds. You think you're getting away with it. The late nights, the fast food, the skipped workouts, the chronic stress. You're 25 or 30 or 35 and you feel fine, invincible even. But your body is keeping score. Every choice is being recorded. Every neglect is compounding. And the bill always comes due, usually in your 40s. Bessel van der Kolk wrote a whole book about this. The body keeps the score. Trauma, stress, poor choices. They don't just disappear. They live in your body. That back pain at 45. That's from sitting hunched over at a desk for 15 years. That high blood pressure. That's from a decade of stress and processed food. That chronic fatigue. That's from years of 4-hour sleep nights. Your body doesn't forget. It accumulates. The good news, it works both ways. Every healthy choice also compounds. Every workout is an investment. Every good meal is a deposit. Every night of quality sleep is insurance. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to trend in the right direction. Because at 50, you'll either be grateful you took care of yourself, or you'll be managing chronic conditions that could have been prevented. Your body in 20 years is being built by your choices today. Choose wisely. Learned helplessness. Picture a dog in a cage. Every time it tries to escape, it gets shocked. Eventually, it just lies down. No more trying. Even if the door swings open, the dog stays put. That's learned helplessness. Now imagine you. You fail at something once, twice, maybe 3 times. Rejected job applications, awkward first dates, goals that flop. At some point, you stop trying. Not because you can't succeed, but because failure taught you to stop believing in the possibility. You tell yourself, I'm just not good at this. You confuse temporary pain with permanent truth. Learned helplessness doesn't mean you are powerless. It means you feel powerless, and those feelings become bars in a cage that doesn't even exist anymore. The worst part, you might not even notice you've given up. You just start living smaller, avoiding opportunities, declining invitations, accepting less. Your world shrinks, not because it has to, but because you stopped testing the boundaries. But there's a way out. It starts with testing the lock. Do the thing one more time. Apply again. Say what you meant to say. Try badly and try loud. Fail forward. Because once you realize the shocks have stopped, you stop being the dog and start being the person who leaves the cage and never looks back. And yes, the door was open the whole time. Victim mentality is comfortable but toxic. Things happened to you. Bad things, unfair things. You were wronged, hurt, disadvantaged, and you have 2 choices. Use it as an explanation or use it as an excuse. The first is healthy. The second is a victim mentality, and victim mentality is poison disguised as comfort. Victim mentality feels good because it removes responsibility. Nothing is your fault. You can't succeed because of X, Y, Z. You can't change because people failed you. You're off the hook. But here's the cost. You're also powerless. If nothing is your fault, then nothing is in your control. You become a passenger in your own life, completely dependent on external circumstances to change. They rarely do. Brené Brown explains, owning our story can be hard, but not nearly as difficult as spending our lives running from it. Yes, bad things happened. Yes, you were dealt a tough hand. But staying in victim mode doesn't fix it. It just guarantees the past continues to control your future. Take ownership. Not of what happened to you, but of what you do next. That's where power lives. Victim mentality is a warm prison. It's comfortable until you realize you're still locked in. Break out, take responsibility, Reclaim power, because victims can't change their lives. Only owners can. Saying no is a career skill, not career suicide. You say yes to everything, every project, every meeting, every quick favor that turns into 3 hours of work. You do this because you want to be seen as a team player, as someone who's helpful and flexible. But here's what actually happens. You become the person everyone dumps their work on. You're maxed out, stressed, and somehow still not getting promoted. Why? Because being busy doesn't make you valuable. Being effective does. Steve Jobs said, "Focusing is about saying no." The most successful people don't say yes to everything. They say no to almost everything so they can say yes to the few things that actually matter. Every yes to something unimportant is a no to something that could actually advance your career. Every yes to someone else's priority is a no to your own. Learn to say no politely but firmly. I'd love to help, but I'm at capacity with X, Y, and Z. Can we revisit this next month? Most people will respect that. The ones who don't, they were trying to exploit you anyway. Protect your time like it's your most valuable asset, because it is. The person who says yes to everything achieves nothing. The person who says no strategically, that's who moves up. Your company will replace you in 2 weeks. You think you're irreplaceable. You've been there for years. You know all the systems. You have all the relationships. Nobody can do what you do. Then you leave. And within 2 weeks, it's like you never existed. Someone's sitting at your desk, your projects are reassigned. Your unique expertise turns out to be pretty easy to replace. This isn't meant to depress you, it's meant to liberate you. You're not as trapped as you think. That job you hate, you can leave. That toxic environment, you can walk away. Because here's the truth, you need that job way less than you think, and they need you way less than they claim. Nobody is irreplaceable. Not you, not your boss, not the CEO. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Same applies to your job. You could leave right now and the company would survive. So stop making decisions out of fear. Stop staying somewhere that's killing you because you think they can't function without you. They can. And you'll be fine too. Probably better. The graveyard is full of irreplaceable people who were replaced immediately. Don't die at a job that would replace you before your obituary runs. Burnout isn't a badge of honor, it's self-destruction. You work 80-hour weeks. You're exhausted. You can't remember the last time you had a real weekend. You snap at people you love. You can't focus. You're running on caffeine and stress. And somehow you're proud of this. You wear your burnout like a medal. I'm grinding. I'm hustling. I'm building an empire. No, you're building a medical emergency. Burnout isn't productivity. It's your body screaming that you're breaking it. Your brain can't function on 5 hours of sleep and constant stress. Your relationships can't survive when you're never present. Your health can't handle chronic cortisol flooding your system. And the work you're producing while burned out? It's probably half as good as you think it is. Arianna Huffington collapsed from exhaustion, broke her cheekbone on her desk, and woke up in a pool of blood. That's when she learned. We think, mistakenly, that success is the result of the amount of time we put in at work instead of the quality of time we put in. Rest isn't weakness, it's strategy. Your best work happens when you're rested, focused, and healthy. Burnout produces nothing but hospital bills and regret. Stop glorifying exhaustion. Start glorifying sustainability. The person who can work well for 30 years beats the person who burns out in 3 every single time. Your reputation follows you everywhere. Protect it. You think you can be one person at work, another person online, and a third person in your personal life. You can't. Everything connects. That angry email you sent, forwarded to someone who'll interview you in 3 years. That unprofessional behavior at a conference. The person who saw it is now your potential client's best friend. That bridge you burned, it's the same bridge you'll need to cross later. Your reputation is built in decades and destroyed in seconds. And in a connected world where everyone's one LinkedIn search away, it follows you everywhere. Jeff Bezos nailed it. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. What are they saying about you? That you're reliable? Or that you're the person who flakes, talks trash, and blames others? Here's how you protect it. Be consistent. Be professional. Be someone people want to work with again. Don't burn bridges even when you're angry. Don't talk trash even when you're right. Don't take shortcuts even when no one's watching. Because someone's always watching and they're always talking. Your reputation is the only thing you truly own in your career. Once it's gone, no amount of skill can rebuild it. Treat it like the asset it is. Lifestyle inflation kills wealth silently. You get a raise. Finally, a 20% bump. You're excited, you deserve this. So you upgrade your apartment, lease a nicer car, eat out more, subscribe to 3 more streaming services. 6 months later, you're still broke. Just broker with better stuff. This is lifestyle inflation, and it's the reason most people never build wealth no matter how much they earn. Here's how it works. Every time your income goes up, your expenses rise to match it. You earn more, you spend more. You always feel like you're barely making it because you are. You've trapped yourself on a treadmill where more money just means more expensive problems. The person making $50,000 living on $45,000 is wealthier than the person making $200,000 living on $210,000. One is building wealth, the other is building stress. Morgan Housel wrote, "Spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Stop upgrading your life every time you upgrade your income. When you get a raise, live like you didn't. Bank the difference. Invest it. The goal isn't to live like you're poor when you're rich. It's to build wealth while you're earning so you have options later. Lifestyle inflation is a trap. Wealth is freedom. Choose freedom." Rich people buy assets, poor people buy liabilities. You buy a brand new car. You finance it. You pay $500 a month. You think you own an asset. You don't. You own something that loses 20% of its value the second you drive it off the lot and costs you money every month in payments, insurance, gas, and maintenance. That's a liability pretending to be an asset. Rich people understand the difference. Poor people don't. Robert Kiyosaki broke it down simply. The rich acquire assets. The poor and middle class acquire liabilities that they think are assets. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. That house you live in? If you're paying a mortgage, it's taking money out every month. That's a liability. The house you rent out to someone else? That's an asset. See the difference? Most people spend their entire lives buying liabilities, cars that depreciate, clothes they wear once, gadgets that become obsolete, subscriptions they forget about. Meanwhile, rich people buy stocks, real estate, businesses, things that grow in value and generate income. Every dollar you spend is a vote for your future. Are you voting for assets or liabilities? Because that vote determines whether you build wealth or stay broke with expensive stuff. You can't work your way to wealth. You need money working for you. You think the path to wealth is simple. Work hard, climb the ladder, get raises, save money. And for a comfortable middle-class life? Sure, that works. For wealth? It doesn't, because there's a cap on how much you can earn from your labor. There are only 24 hours in a day. Even if you're making $500 an hour, you're still trading time for money, and time runs out. Wealth isn't built from your paycheck. It's built from your investments. Warren Buffett isn't rich because he works hard. He's rich because his money works hard. He owns businesses, stocks, assets that generate income while he sleeps. That's the difference. Your labor has a ceiling. Your assets don't. One person working 80 hours a week will never out-earn one person who owns assets that work 24/7. This doesn't mean stop working. It means start investing. Take a percentage of every paycheck and put it into assets that compound. Index funds, real estate, businesses. The goal is to flip the script from "I work for money" to "money works for me." That's how you build wealth. That's how you retire early. That's how you create freedom. If all your income depends on you showing up, you're not wealthy, you're just expensive labor. Change that. Debt is a tool most people use as a weapon against themselves. Debt isn't inherently evil. It's a tool. The question is, are you using it to build or to bury yourself? If you borrow $200,000 to buy a rental property that generates $2,000 a month in cash flow, that's good debt. It's leverage that builds wealth. If you borrow $50,000 to buy a car that loses value every year and costs you money every month, that's bad debt. It's leverage that destroys wealth. Most people have it backwards. They'll go into massive debt for things that lose value: cars, weddings, furniture, vacations, and they avoid debt for things that gain value, like real estate or business investments. Then they wonder why they're stuck. Good debt buys assets. Bad debt buys liabilities. Good debt makes you money. Bad debt costs you money. It's that simple. Before you borrow money for anything, ask yourself, will this purchase make me money or cost me money long term? If it's costing you money and you're borrowing to buy it, you're using debt as a weapon against your own future. Stop. The only acceptable consumer debt is a mortgage on a property that will appreciate, and even that should be calculated carefully. Everything else? If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it. Debt is a tool for building wealth, not financing lifestyle. Your parents' financial advice is 30 years outdated. Go to college, get a good job, work there for 40 years, retire with a pension. That was great advice in 1970. It's terrible advice now. Pensions don't exist. Job security is a myth. A college degree guarantees you nothing except debt. The economy your parents navigated is dead. The rules changed. The advice didn't. Your parents probably told you to buy a house because it's always a good investment. They told you to max out your 401k because the company matches. They told you to never leave a job without another one lined up. This worked for them because they lived in a different world. Housing was affordable. Job loyalty was rewarded. Retirement plans were actually funded. None of that is true anymore. You need new advice for a new economy. Learn to generate income from multiple sources. Build skills that are portable. Invest in assets that grow faster than inflation. Stop following a playbook from 1985. Your parents mean well, but their map is outdated. The terrain changed. Thank them for trying, then find your own path. Because following their advice in today's world is like using a flip phone in 2026. It technically works, but you're going to get left behind. The biggest purchases shape your next decade. You buy a house, you buy a car, you take out student loans. These 3 decisions, usually made in your 20s, will determine your financial reality for the next 10 to 20 years. Most people make them without understanding the weight. They sign the papers, get the keys, and trap themselves. Here's what actually happens. You buy a house you can barely afford because the bank approved the loan. Now 40% of your income goes to the mortgage. You can't switch jobs because you need the paycheck. You can't move for better opportunities because you're locked in. You can't take risks because you have payments. The house doesn't own you legally. It owns you practically. The same with student loans. You borrowed $100,000 to get a degree in something that pays $45,000 a year. Now you're 28, in debt, and stuck. Before you make any large purchase, ask, how will this affect my freedom? Because every big financial decision is a vote for or against your own flexibility. Buy less house than you can afford. Buy less car than you want. Borrow less for school than they'll give you. Because the goal isn't to maximize what you can spend. The goal is to maximize your options. Debt is easy to take on and brutal to escape. Make these 3 decisions wisely, or they'll make the next decade miserable. You can't change people, accept or leave. Those are your options. They said they'd change. They promised this time would be different. It's been 3 years. Nothing changed. And you're still waiting, still hoping, still believing that if you just love them enough, support them enough, sacrifice enough, they'll finally become the person you need them to be. They won't. People change when they want to, not when you want them to. You have 2 options with people: accept them exactly as they are right now, or leave. That's it. There's no third option where you change them into someone else. That's not love. That's a renovation project. And people aren't houses. You can't gut them and rebuild them to your specifications. The person in front of you, with all their flaws and habits and patterns, that's who they are. If you can't live with that version, leave. If you can, stay. But stop trying to change them. Maya Angelou said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. That angry outburst wasn't a one-time thing. That pattern of lying isn't going to stop. That lack of ambition isn't temporary. People show you who they are constantly. Most of us just refuse to believe it because we're invested in who we want them to be. Stop, accept reality, or change your situation. Those are your only options. And wasting years trying to change someone is time you'll never get back." The 5 people you spend most time with determine your future. Jim Rohn said it best. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look around. Are the 5 people closest to you growing, building, improving, or are they complaining, coasting, making excuses? Because whatever they're doing, you're absorbing it. Their standards become your standards. Their habits become your habits. Their ceiling becomes your ceiling. This isn't motivational fluff, it's neuroscience. Mirror neurons in your brain literally mimic the people around you. You unconsciously adopt their speech patterns, body language, attitudes, and behaviors. If you're surrounded by people who settle, you'll settle. If you're surrounded by people who push, you'll push. Your environment isn't just influencing you, it's programming you. So audit your circle ruthlessly. Who are your 5? Are they where you want to be in 5 years? If not, that's your first problem. You can have friends at all levels, but your inner circle, the people you spend the most time with, needs to be ahead of where you are. Not better people, not more successful for ego's sake. Just people who will pull you forward instead of hold you back. Because you can't soar with eagles if you're hanging out with turkeys. Change your circle or change your expectations. You can't have both. Quality friends beat quantity every time. You have 847 Facebook friends, 1,200 Instagram followers. You know everyone. You go to all the events. Your phone is always buzzing. And yet, when things got really hard last year, how many people actually showed up? Be honest. Probably 2 or 3, maybe 1. That's the difference between quantity and quality. Most people collect connections like trophies. They think having a huge network means they're successful, popular, valued. It doesn't. It means they're spread thin. Real friendship isn't about knowing people. It's about knowing people who know you. Like, actually know you, the ugly parts, the scared parts, the parts you don't post on social media, and they're still there. You don't need 100 friends. You need 3 to 5 real ones. The kind who will help you move. The kind who call when they sense something's wrong. The kind who tell you the truth when everyone else is lying to make you feel better. Bronnie Ware, who worked in palliative care, said one of the top regrets of the dying was, "I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends." Not, "I wish I had more friends." The people who were dying wished they'd invested deeper in the few who mattered. Stop collecting acquaintances. Start investing in real relationships. 5 close friends will do more for your life than 500 loose connections. Loneliness hits hardest. After 40, invest in relationships now. In your 20s and 30s, you're too busy to notice loneliness. You have work, dates, parties, roommates, activities, life is full. Then you hit 40, your friends move away, they get married, have kids, get consumed by their own lives. The invitations slow down, the group chats go quiet, and suddenly you realize you're alone. Not physically, socially. You have no deep connections, and building them at 40 is exponentially harder than maintaining them from your 20s. Harvard's Grant study, one of the longest-running studies on adult development, found that the quality of relationships was the single best predictor of happiness and health in old age. Not wealth, not career success, relationships. The people who invested in friendships early lived longer, healthier, happier lives. The people who didn't, they were lonely, sick, and regretful. This isn't motivational, it's medical. Invest now. Call people. Show up. Be present. host dinners, join communities. Build the friendships today that will sustain you tomorrow. Because making friends at 45 is hard. Maintaining friends you built at 25, that's just showing up. The loneliest people aren't the ones with no one. They're the ones who had people and let them slip away. Don't be that person. Water your relationships like you water plants, because if you ignore them, they die. And unlike plants, you can't just buy new ones at 40. Not all childhood friends make it to your future, and that's okay. You've known them since kindergarten. You have history, inside jokes, shared memories. But somewhere along the way, you grew apart. They stayed in your hometown. You moved. They stopped growing. You kept pushing. Now every conversation feels forced. Every hangout feels like an obligation. And you feel guilty because you're supposed to keep these friendships forever, right? Wrong. People grow at different rates and in different directions. The friend who made sense when you were 16 doesn't have to make sense at 36. You're not the same person. Neither are they. And pretending you still connect when you don't isn't loyalty. It's lying. To them and to yourself. Some friendships are meant to be lifelong. Others are meant for a season. Both are valuable. Both are valid. C.S. Lewis wrote, "Friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, 'What? You too? I thought I was the only one.' But what happens when that shared experience ends? When you no longer have that 'you too' moment? The friendship fades, and that's natural. Honor what was. Release what isn't. Thank them for the season they were in your life, and give yourself permission to move forward without guilt. Not every friend needs to make the whole journey with you. Some are meant to walk with you for a mile. Some for the whole road. Know the difference. Boundaries aren't mean, they're necessary. You say yes when you mean no. You help when you're already overwhelmed. You give when you're already empty. You do this because you think boundaries are selfish, because you want to be seen as nice, as helpful, as generous. But here's what actually happens. You burn out. You resent people. You become a doormat. And the people who benefit from your lack of boundaries, they don't respect you more. They respect you less. Boundaries aren't walls, they're gates. They let the right things in and keep the wrong things out. They're not about being mean. They're about being clear. I can't take on more work right now. I need alone time on Sundays. I'm not discussing that topic. These aren't rude statements. They're healthy ones. The people who get mad at your boundaries are the ones who were benefiting from you having none. Brené Brown nailed it. Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves even when we risk disappointing others. Read that again. Your boundaries will disappoint people. Good. The people who genuinely care about you will respect your limits. The people who don't were using you anyway. Set the boundaries. Enforce them. And watch how quickly your life improves when you stop letting everyone else dictate what you do with your time, energy, and life. Boundaries aren't optional, they're survival. You marry someone's family, not just them. They're perfect. You're in love. You can't imagine life without them. But here's what you're not thinking about. You're not just marrying them. You're marrying their family. Their overbearing mother becomes your problem. Their enabling father becomes your problem. Their toxic siblings, their family drama, their holiday traditions, their expectations, all of it becomes your problem. And you don't find this out until after the wedding. Before you commit, really look at their family, because genetics and environment are powerful. How does their father treat their mother? That's probably how they'll treat you in 15 years. How do they handle conflict with their siblings? That's how they'll handle conflict with you. How does their family communicate? That pattern is deeply ingrained. You're not just evaluating a person, you're evaluating a system. And you're about to become part of that system. This doesn't mean their family has to be perfect. It means you need to go in with eyes open. Can you handle holiday dinners with people you don't like? Can you deal with in-laws who overstep? Can you set boundaries with a partner whose family has none? These aren't small questions. They're decade-defining questions. Because when things get hard in the marriage, guess who shows up? The family. And if you can't handle them, that stress will destroy the relationship. Evaluate the whole package, not just the person you're falling for. The spark fades. Partnership is what lasts. You meet someone, butterflies, chemistry, you can't stop thinking about them. Every text is exciting. Every date feels electric. This is it. This is love. Except it's not. It's infatuation. It's dopamine. It's your brain on drugs. And like all drugs, it wears off, usually around the 18-month mark. Then reality hits. The spark is real, but it's temporary. It's biology's way of getting you to pair up long enough to reproduce. After that, you're on your own. The question isn't, do we still have the spark? The question is, can we build something real when the spark fades? Because it will fade. For everyone. The people in 50-year marriages didn't maintain constant butterflies. They built partnership. Esther Perel, relationship therapist, put it perfectly. The grand ambition of romantic love is that we want one person to give us what once an entire village used to provide. We expect one person to be our lover, best friend, co-parent, therapist, adventure partner, and source of constant excitement. That's insane. A successful relationship isn't about maintaining the spark. It's about building a life with someone you respect, trust, and choose every day, even when you don't feel like it. Romance is the appetizer. Partnership is the meal. Stop chasing sparks. Start building foundations. Your parents age faster than you realize. Call them. They were invincible when you were a kid. Strong, capable, always there. Now you're 35 and you see them at Thanksgiving and something's different. They're slower. They repeat stories. They look tired. And it hits you. They're aging. Fast. Faster than you thought possible. And you've been so busy with your life that you forgot to notice theirs ending. Here's the math that will haunt you. If your parents are 60 and you see them twice a year for 3 days each visit, and they live to 85, you have 150 days left with them. That's 5 months. Total. For the rest of your life. 5 months to say everything you need to say, to hear their stories, to just be with them. And most of that will be small talk and holiday stress. The deep conversations, the real connection. You're looking at maybe 20 meaningful hours. Total. Call them, not when you need something, not out of obligation. Call them because time is running out and you don't know how much is left. Ask about their life, their childhood, their regrets. Record their voice. Take photos. Be present, because the regret of not calling them won't hit you until you can't anymore. And that regret will haunt you for the rest of your life. They won't be here forever. Act like it. Forgiveness is for you, not them. They hurt you, they betrayed you, they never apologized, and you're still carrying it. Every day, you replay what they did. You imagine what you should have said. You fantasize about them finally understanding the pain they caused. Meanwhile, they've moved on. They're living their life. They're not thinking about you, and you're still in prison. Forgiveness isn't about letting them off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the hook. It's not saying what they did was okay. It's saying you're done letting it control you. Because holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting them to die. It's not hurting them. It's destroying you. Your mental health, your relationships, your peace, all sacrificed because you won't let go. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison. When he was released, he said, "Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies." If anyone had the right to hold a grudge, it was him. But he understood. Forgiveness is liberation. Not for the person who hurt you, for you. So forgive them. Not because they deserve it, because you deserve peace. You don't have to forget. You don't have to reconcile. You just have to stop letting them live rent-free in your head. Release the anger, not for them, for you. The right people don't need convincing to stay. You're explaining why they should choose you. You're listing reasons why the relationship works. You're convincing them to stay. Stop. If someone needs to be convinced to be with you, they're not your person. The right people don't need a sales pitch. They just show up. This applies to everything: relationships, friendships, jobs, opportunities. If you're constantly proving your worth, fighting to keep someone's attention, or justifying why they should stay, you've already lost, because the right fit doesn't require constant validation. It just works, easily, naturally, without the exhausting performance of trying to be enough. Mark Manson wrote, "The desire for a more positive experience is itself a negative experience, and, paradoxically, the acceptance of one's negative experience is itself a positive experience." Translation: chasing validation creates anxiety. Accepting you're not for everyone creates peace. The right people will see your value without a PowerPoint presentation. Everyone else? Let them go. Stop auditioning for people who don't appreciate the show. The right audience will give you a standing ovation without you begging for applause. Preventive care is cheaper than emergency care. You skip the dentist. It's expensive, nothing hurts, I'll go next year. 5 years later, you need a root canal and a crown. $3,000. The cleaning you skipped? $150. You avoid the doctor. I feel fine. I don't need a checkup. Then you end up in the ER with something that could have been caught early. Preventive care would have cost $200. The emergency? $15,000. This pattern repeats everywhere. You skip the oil change, then your engine seizes. You ignore the weird noise in your car, then you need a new transmission. You don't address the small issue in your relationship, then you need marriage counseling or a divorce attorney. Prevention is always cheaper than intervention. Always. But most people skip it because the cost is immediate and the benefit is invisible. You can't see the disaster you prevented. You only see the money you spent. Flip the script, schedule the dentist, get the annual physical, do the routine maintenance, address small problems before they become big ones. Because the most expensive thing you'll ever pay for is the thing you tried to avoid paying for. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's not a cliche, that's math. Do the boring maintenance now or pay for the exciting emergency later. Your choice. Your 20s, diet doesn't work in your 40s. You could eat anything at 22. Pizza at midnight, donuts for breakfast, beer every weekend. You stayed slim. Your energy was fine. Your metabolism was a furnace. Then you hit 35 and suddenly, looking at a donut, adds 5 pounds. What happened? Your metabolism slowed down. Your muscle mass decreased. Your hormones changed. The free pass expired. Most people don't adjust. They keep eating like they're 22 and wonder why they're gaining weight, feeling sluggish, and developing health issues. Your body at 40 is not your body at 20. It can't process food the same way. It can't recover from bad decisions the same way. The rules changed. Your diet needs to change with it. This doesn't mean you have to eat like a monk. It means you need to be strategic. More protein, more vegetables, less processed garbage. You can't out-train a bad diet anymore. You can't rely on youth to bail you out. Michael Pollan said it simply: eat food, not too much, mostly plants. That's it. No complicated diet, just real food in reasonable amounts with a focus on plants. Your 40-year-old body will thank you. Your 20-year-old strategy will kill you. Adapt or suffer. Dental work gets exponentially more expensive when delayed. You have a cavity. It's small. It doesn't hurt. The dentist says to fix it now. You think, it's $150. I'll deal with it later. You wait. The cavity grows. Now it's a root canal. $1,200. You wait again because that's expensive. Now the tooth is dying. You need an extraction and an implant. $4,000. That $150 cavity just cost you $4,000 and a tooth. This is dental economics. Teeth don't heal themselves. They only get worse. And the cost increases exponentially with each stage of decay. Small cavity? Cheap fix. Root canal? Expensive. Extraction and implant? Bankruptcy territory. The same pattern applies to everything in your body. Ignore a health issue, and it gets worse and more expensive to fix. Always. Without exception. Here's the lesson. Pay the small price now or pay the massive price later. Fix things early when they're cheap and easy, or fix them late when they're expensive and complicated. Most people choose late because the immediate cost feels too high. Then they pay 10 times more and regret it. Don't be most people. Go to the dentist, fix the cavity, do the preventive work, because neglect is the most expensive payment plan in existence. That small pain now saves massive pain later. Choose wisely. Mental health is health, not weakness. You're struggling, you're anxious, depressed, overwhelmed, but you don't seek help because therapy is for people with real problems, or I should be able to handle this myself. So you suffer in silence, you white-knuckle through panic attacks, you drown in depression, you tell yourself it's fine, it's not fine. And pretending mental health issues don't count is like pretending a broken leg doesn't count because you can technically still walk. Mental health is health, period. Your brain is an organ. It can get sick. It needs maintenance. It sometimes needs professional help. There's no moral virtue in suffering without support. You wouldn't set your own broken bone. Why would you try to fix your own brain chemistry? Johann Hari wrote, "You aren't a machine with broken parts. You are an animal whose needs are not being met." Sometimes those needs include professional help. Therapy isn't weakness. It's maintenance. Medication isn't failure. It's medicine. The strongest thing you can do is admit you need help and get it, because struggling alone doesn't make you tough. It makes you suffer longer than necessary. Your mental health affects everything: your relationships, your work, your physical health, your quality of life. Treat it like the critical component it is. Get help. Do the work. Heal. Because you can't think your way out of a chemical imbalance any more than you can meditate away a broken leg. Mental health is health. Start treating it that way. Injuries in your 30s become chronic pain in your 50s. You tweaked your back moving furniture. It hurt for a week, then felt better. You rolled your ankle playing basketball. It healed eventually. You threw your shoulder out but worked through it. You're fine now, except you're not. You just don't know it yet. That back tweak, that's a herniated disc waiting to happen. That ankle roll, that's arthritis developing silently. That shoulder injury, that's chronic pain you'll manage for decades. Your body in your 20s and 30s has incredible healing capacity, but it doesn't heal perfectly. It heals functionally. Scar tissue forms, joints become unstable, muscles compensate incorrectly, and years later those old injuries resurface as chronic conditions. The back that feels fine at 35 is the back that herniates at 50. The ankle that healed at 28 is the ankle you can't walk on at 58. Stuart McGill, spine biomechanics expert, says, "Most people accumulate damage to their spines through repeated poor movement patterns and postures over years. Your body keeps the receipts. So here's the move. Take injuries seriously. Get proper treatment. Do the physical therapy. Strengthen the supporting muscles. Because ignoring it now means managing it forever. That minor injury you're walking off, that's your 50-year-old self's daily pain. Treat your body like you're going to need it for 60 more years, because you are." Nobody is coming to save you. Self-rescue is your only option. You're waiting for someone to fix it. Your parents, your partner, your boss, the government, the universe. Someone will step in. Someone will save you. They won't. This is your life, your problem, your responsibility. And waiting for rescue is how you waste decades. The hardest lesson in adulthood is this: you're on your own, not in a cruel way, in a liberating way. Because if nobody's coming to save you, then nobody can stop you from saving yourself. You don't need permission. You don't need approval. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need to start, to move, to act. Self-rescue is the only option that works. Glennon Doyle wrote, "We can do hard things, not someone will do hard things for us, not hard things will magically resolve themselves. You can do hard things. You can get yourself out of debt. You can leave the bad relationship. You can start the business. You can fix your health. Nobody else will. Nobody else can." This is simultaneously terrifying and empowering. You're alone, but you're also free. The moment you accept that nobody's coming is the moment you become capable of rescuing yourself. Stop waiting. Start building. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is forever. You wake up motivated. Today's the day. You're going to work out, eat clean, work on your side project, read that book. You're pumped. By 3 p.m., you're tired. By 7 p.m., you're on the couch. Motivation died. It always does. Because motivation is an emotion, and emotions are temporary. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for inspiration. It doesn't need pump-up music or perfect conditions. It just shows up and does the thing. Every day. Whether you feel like it or not. That's the difference between people who achieve goals and people who have goals. One relies on motivation. The other built discipline. Jocko Willink, former Navy SEAL, boiled it down. Discipline equals freedom. Seems counterintuitive. How does forcing yourself to do things equal freedom? Because discipline creates results. Results create options. Options create freedom. The person with fitness discipline has the freedom of a healthy body. The person with financial discipline has the freedom of options. The person with work discipline has the freedom of career mobility. Discipline now creates freedom later. Motivation creates nothing but disappointment when it inevitably fades. Stop chasing motivation. Build discipline. Show up even when you don't feel like it. That's how things actually get done. Reading books separates you from 90% of people. The average American reads 1 book per year. 1. That means if you read 12 books a year, 1 per month, you're in the top 10% of readers. Read 24, you're in the top 5%. Read 52, you're in the top 1%. This isn't about being better than others. It's about the compounding advantage of learning continuously. Books are compressed wisdom. Someone spent years or decades learning something, then distilled it into 200 to 300 pages. You can download their expertise in 6 to 8 hours of reading. That's an insane return on investment. 1 book can change your career. 1 book can save your relationship. 1 book can add years to your life. But most people won't read it because they don't have time. Charlie Munger said, "In my whole life, I have known no wise people who didn't read all the time. None. 0. The most successful people are voracious readers. Not because reading is noble, because learning compounds. Every book you read builds on the last. Your knowledge base grows. Your pattern recognition improves. Your decision-making sharpens. And over years, you develop an almost unfair advantage over people who stopped learning after school. Read, not to impress people, to improve yourself. Because books are the highest ROI education you can get. 1 hour of reading beats 100 hours of scrolling. Choose wisely. Your thoughts aren't facts. Your brain lies constantly. You think you're too old to start. You think you're not smart enough. You think everyone's judging you. You think you'll fail. Your brain presents these thoughts as facts. They're not. They're stories. And most of them are lies designed to keep you safe, small, and comfortable. Your brain is a survival machine, not a truth machine. It's designed to avoid danger, conserve energy, and maintain the status quo. So it creates narratives that justify inaction. I'm too old sounds like a fact, but it's just fear wearing a logical costume. I'm not qualified sounds reasonable, but it's just imposter syndrome. Your brain lies to protect you from risk. The problem is, all growth requires risk. Byron Katie built an entire therapy method around one question: is it true? When your brain says, I can't do this, ask, is it true? Can you prove it's true? Or is it just a thought? Most of your limiting beliefs collapse under basic scrutiny. You're not too old, you're just scared. You're not unqualified, you just haven't done it yet. Your thoughts are suggestions, not facts. Question them, because the biggest limitation in your life isn't external. It's the untested thoughts you believe about yourself. Challenge them. Most will crumble. Self-awareness is a superpower. Most people never develop. You think you know yourself. You know your strengths, your weaknesses, your patterns, except you don't. Most people have massive blind spots. They repeat the same mistakes without noticing. They sabotage their own success without awareness. They blame circumstances when the problem is their behavior. Self-awareness is the ability to see yourself clearly, and it's rarer than you think. Tasha Eurich's research found that 95% of people think they're self-aware, but only 10 to 15% actually are. That gap is staggering. Most people are walking around with a completely inaccurate view of themselves. They think they're great listeners when they constantly interrupt. They think they're open-minded when they dismiss anything that contradicts their beliefs. They think they're hard workers when they confuse busyness with productivity. Daniel Goleman wrote, "Self-awareness is not an attention that gets carried away by emotions, overreactive or judgmental, but a neutral mode that maintains self-reflectiveness even amidst turbulent emotions. That's the skill, being able to watch yourself objectively, to notice your patterns without justifying them, to catch yourself mid-mistake and course-correct. People with self-awareness grow faster because they actually see what needs to change. Everyone else is blind to their own flaws and confused why nothing improves. Develop self-awareness. Get feedback. Journal. Reflect. Because you can't fix what you can't see, and most people can't see themselves at all. You don't find yourself, you create yourself. I'm trying to find myself. No, you're not. You're avoiding creating yourself. Finding yourself is a comfortable excuse for drifting. It sounds deep, spiritual, intentional. It's actually passive. You're waiting for some magical moment where your identity reveals itself. It won't. Identity isn't discovered. It's built. You create yourself through action, through decisions, through repetition. You want to be confident. Do confident things until the identity sticks. You want to be disciplined. Practice discipline until it becomes your default. You want to be creative? Create things. The identity follows the action, not the other way around. Most people have it backwards. They wait to feel like the person they want to be before acting like them. That's not how it works. George Bernard Shaw said it clearly. Life isn't about finding yourself. Life is about creating yourself. You're not a buried treasure waiting to be excavated. You're a sculpture waiting to be carved. Every choice is a chisel stroke. Every habit is a shape forming. You become what you repeatedly do. So stop searching for yourself like you're lost property. Start building yourself like you're a project, because that's what you are, an ongoing, never-finished creation. Create intentionally or you'll create by default. Either way, you're creating. Choose what you're building. Being right feels good. Being effective gets results. You're in an argument. You're right. You know you're right. You have facts, logic, receipts. You destroy their argument. You win. Congratulations. You've damaged the relationship, created resentment, and accomplished nothing. You were right, but you were also ineffective. Being right and being effective are different goals. Being right satisfies your ego. Being effective solves problems. Most people optimize for being right. They'd rather win the argument than maintain the relationship. They'd rather prove their point than reach a solution. They confuse winning debates with making progress. It's a trap. Stephen Covey wrote, "Seek first to understand, then to be understood." Most people do the opposite. They seek first to be right, then to be vindicated. And they wonder why their relationships are difficult. Their work collaborations are tense, and nobody wants to work with them. Being right makes you feel superior. Being effective makes things better. Choose effectiveness. Sometimes that means conceding points you could technically win. Sometimes it means letting someone save face. Sometimes it means prioritizing the outcome over your ego. Right feels good. Effective gets results. Pick your priority. Your ego costs you more than you realize. Your ego tells you you're too good for that job. Your ego tells you asking for help is weakness. Your ego tells you admitting mistakes makes you look bad. Your ego tells you to double down when you're wrong. And your ego is quietly destroying your life while pretending to protect it. Ego is expensive. It costs you opportunities because you're too proud to start small. It costs you growth because you won't admit what you don't know. It costs you relationships because you can't apologize. It costs you money because you make decisions to look good instead of be smart. All to protect an image that doesn't matter to anyone but you. Ryan Holiday wrote an entire book on this. Ego is the enemy. He explains, the ego we see most commonly goes by a more casual definition, an unhealthy belief in our own importance, arrogance, self-centered ambition. Your ego makes you fragile. It needs constant validation, protection, feeding. Meanwhile, the people who actually succeed? They've killed their ego. They'll take any job that teaches them. They'll admit ignorance to learn faster. They'll apologize immediately to move forward. Ego is dead weight. Cut it loose. Because the moment you stop protecting your image is the moment you start building your life. Ego serves no one, not even you. Comparing yourself to others is poison. You scroll Instagram. Everyone's on vacation, closing deals, getting engaged, looking perfect. Meanwhile, you're sitting in your apartment eating cereal for dinner, wondering what you're doing with your life. You compare. You feel inadequate. You spiral. This is the comparison trap, and it's killing your happiness. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." He was right. You're comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. You're comparing your chapter 3 to someone else's chapter 20. You're comparing your worst day to their best post. It's not even a fair comparison. It's designed to make you feel insufficient. Here's the truth. There will always be someone richer, smarter, better looking, more successful. Always. If you base your worth on comparison, you'll always lose. The only comparison that matters is you versus your past self. Are you better than you were last year? That's it. That's the only measuring stick that matters. Everyone else is running a different race with different advantages, different starting points, different goals. Focus on your own lane. Compare yourself to yourself. Because the comparison game is unwinnable. The moment you stop playing is the moment you start actually living. Life isn't fair. Accept it and play better. You worked harder and they got the promotion. You did everything right and still failed. You were loyal and got betrayed. Life isn't fair. You already know this, but you keep waiting for it to be. You keep expecting fairness, justice, karma. Stop. It's not coming. Life doesn't care about your effort. It doesn't care about your intentions. It just happens. This isn't pessimism, it's realism, and accepting it is liberating. Once you stop expecting fairness, you stop wasting energy on resentment. You stop asking, why me? You stop waiting for the universe to balance the scales. Because it won't. Bad things happen to good people. Good things happen to terrible people. There's no cosmic justice system. There's just cause and effect, randomness, and your response. Marcus Aurelius, a literal emperor, understood this. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. You can't control what happens. You can only control your response. So stop expecting fairness. Start playing strategically. Work harder, not because it guarantees results, but because it improves your odds. Be good not because it promises reward, but because it's who you choose to be. Life isn't fair, but that's not a reason to give up. It's a reason to play smarter, because waiting for fairness is waiting forever. Playing strategically is how you actually win. Your feelings don't change reality, only your response does. You feel like a failure, you feel anxious, you feel overwhelmed, and because you feel it, you treat it as truth. You let your feelings dictate your actions. You cancel plans because you don't feel like going. You avoid tasks because you feel unmotivated. You sabotage relationships because you feel insecure. Your feelings are running your life, and your feelings are terrible at decision-making. Feelings are data, not directions. They tell you something about your internal state. They don't tell you what to do. You can feel anxious and still give the presentation. You can feel unmotivated and still do the work. You can feel insecure and still trust your partner. Your feelings are valid, but they're not facts, and they're definitely not orders. Viktor Frankl survived Nazi concentration camps. He wrote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. You can't control how you feel. You can control what you do about it. That's the gap where power lives. Stop letting feelings dictate actions. Feel them, acknowledge them, then choose your response based on your values, not your mood. Because your feelings change constantly. Your values don't. Let values drive. Let feelings ride passenger. That's how you actually build a life, instead of just reacting to how you feel today." Nobody owes you anything. You graduated, you worked hard, you showed up, you were loyal, and somehow you think the world owes you something, a good job, respect, recognition, success. It doesn't. Nobody owes you anything. Not your parents, not your employer, not society, not the universe. You're not owed happiness, success, or fairness. You get what you earn, what you create, or what you're lucky enough to receive. That's it. This feels harsh. It is. But it's also liberating. Because the moment you stop expecting the world to hand you things is the moment you start taking them yourself. You stop waiting for opportunities and start creating them. You stop expecting respect and start commanding it through your actions. You stop feeling entitled and start feeling empowered. Entitlement is a prison. It makes you bitter, passive, and resentful. Ownership is freedom. It makes you active, resilient, and powerful. Nobody owes you a successful career, so build one. Nobody owes you love, so become someone worth loving. Nobody owes you respect, so earn it. The world doesn't owe you anything, and that's the best news you'll get, because it means everything you achieve is yours, not given, earned. Stop expecting, start creating. Because waiting for the world to give you what you think you deserve is how you waste your entire life waiting. Most people are too busy with their lives to think about you. You're worried about what they think, about your outfit, your presentation, your social media post, your life choices. You replay conversations wondering if you said something dumb. You stress about how you're perceived. And here's the truth. They're not thinking about you at all. They're thinking about themselves. Everyone is the main character in their own story. They're worried about their own outfit, their own presentation, their own life. That embarrassing thing you did last week. They forgot about it 5 minutes later. They're too busy replaying their own embarrassing moment. That thing you're self-conscious about, they didn't even notice. They were too busy being self-conscious about their own thing. David Foster Wallace said, "You'll worry less about what people think about you when you realize how seldom they do." This isn't depressing. It's liberating. You're not being watched. You're not being judged nearly as much as you think. Everyone's too busy starring in their own movie. So stop living for an audience that isn't paying attention. Stop making decisions based on imaginary judgment. Do what you want. Say what you mean. Be who you are. Because the people you're worried about impressing, they're worried about impressing you. Everyone's so busy protecting their own image they have no energy left to judge yours. Act accordingly. Your parents did their best with what they knew. They made mistakes. They said things that hurt you. They didn't show up the way you needed. And you've been carrying that pain for years. You resent them. You blame them. You think about all the ways they failed you. And you're right, they did fail you. But here's what you're missing. They also did the best they could with what they had. Your parents were imperfect humans raising you with the tools they were given, which were probably the same imperfect tools their parents gave them. They were figuring it out as they went. They made mistakes. They had their own trauma, their own limitations, their own battles. None of that excuses the pain they caused, but understanding it helps you heal. Holding on to parental resentment doesn't hurt them. It hurts you. It keeps you in a perpetual childhood, waiting for the apology or recognition that may never come. At some point, you have to accept. They did their best, even if their best wasn't good enough. Then you have to choose. Spend your life angry about what you didn't get, or build the life you want with what you have. Forgive them, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. They were imperfect parents, You'll be an imperfect person. That's the human condition. Accept it and move forward. Success is 10% talent, 90% not quitting. You think successful people have some special gift, some natural talent, some advantage you don't have. Sometimes yes, but mostly they just didn't quit. They failed more times than you tried. They kept going when everyone else stopped. That's it. That's the secret. Persistence beats talent almost every time. You've seen this, the naturally gifted person who wastes their potential, the average person who outworks everyone and succeeds. Talent opens doors, persistence walks through them, and most people quit at the first real obstacle. They try once, fail, and decide it wasn't meant to be. Meanwhile, the person who succeeds fails 10, 20, 50 times and keeps going. Angela Duckworth's research on grit confirms this. Enthusiasm is common. Endurance is rare. Everyone has initial excitement. Few have staying power. Success isn't about being the best. It's about being the last one still trying. It's about showing up consistently even when results aren't immediate. It's about refusing to quit even when quitting would be easier. Talent is a lottery. Persistence is a choice. And choices beat luck in the long run, so stop waiting for natural ability to carry you. Start grinding until success has no choice but to show up. Because success doesn't care about your talent. It cares about your endurance. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. They disrespect you. They cancel plans last minute. They take advantage, and you say nothing. You tolerate it. You make excuses for them. And every time you do, you're teaching them that this behavior is acceptable. You're training them to treat you poorly. Then you wonder why they keep doing it, because you let them. People will treat you exactly as badly as you allow. If you tolerate lateness, they'll be late. If you tolerate disrespect, they'll disrespect you. If you tolerate being their backup plan, that's exactly what you'll be. Every behavior you accept is a behavior you're endorsing. You're setting the standard. And right now, your standard is too low. Dr. Phil made this famous. You teach people how to treat you. This isn't about being difficult or demanding. It's about having standards. It's about saying, that doesn't work for me when something doesn't work for you. It's about enforcing boundaries. It's about walking away from people who consistently disrespect you. You're not mean for having standards. You're foolish for not having them. Raise your standards. Enforce your boundaries. Stop tolerating behavior you'd never accept if you respected yourself, because the treatment you accept becomes the treatment you receive. Choose better. Luck is preparation meeting opportunity. They just got lucky. Maybe, or maybe they spent years preparing for that exact moment. You see the opportunity they got. You don't see the decade of work that prepared them to capitalize on it. Luck isn't random, it's readiness meeting circumstance, and most people aren't ready when opportunity knocks. Seneca said it 2,000 years ago. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. You can't control when opportunities arrive. You can control whether you're ready when they do. The person who got lucky with a big break probably had skills that made them the obvious choice. The person who got lucky with an investment probably studied markets for years. The person who got lucky meeting the right person probably built a network that made that meeting inevitable. Stop dismissing success as luck. Start asking, how can I prepare myself so that when opportunity appears, I'm ready? Because opportunities pass by everyone. The difference is preparation. Unprepared people see opportunities and can't capitalize. Prepared people see opportunities and seize them. Then everyone calls them lucky. Build skills, build networks, build systems. So when luck shows up, and it will, you're ready to catch it. Because luck favors the prepared, and the unprepared blame luck for everything they miss. Failure is data, not identity. You failed. You tried something and it didn't work. And now you think you're a failure. Wrong. You experienced a failure. You're not a failure. You're a person who tried something that didn't work. That's data, not identity. But most people confuse the two. They let one failed attempt define their entire self-worth. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times before creating a working light bulb. When asked about his failures, he said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." That's the mindset shift. Failure isn't proof you can't do it. It's proof you tried. It's information about what doesn't work. It's data you can use to adjust your approach. The moment you separate failure from identity is the moment you become unstoppable, because you'll try things, you'll fail, you'll learn, you'll try again. You won't be crushed by failure because you won't take it personally. You failed at something. You're not a failure at everything. Learn the difference. Failure is feedback. It's telling you what to adjust. Listen to it, learn from it, and try again. Because every successful person has more failures than attempts from people who never succeeded. The difference: they didn't let failure become their identity. They used it as data. Do the same. Your opinion of yourself matters more than anyone else's. They don't believe in you. They said you couldn't do it. They think your dreams are unrealistic. So what? Their opinion is none of your business. The only opinion that matters is yours. And if you let their doubt become your doubt, you've already lost. You can't control what people think of you. You can't make them believe in you. You can't force them to see your vision. And trying to is exhausting and pointless. Because their opinion is based on their limitations, their fears, their experiences, not yours. Their doubts are about them, not you. Don't internalize them. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Their opinion only has power if you give it power. So stop seeking validation from people who don't understand what you're building. Stop letting their skepticism seed your own doubt. Believe in yourself even when, especially when, nobody else does. Because your belief in yourself is the only one required to start. Everyone else's belief is optional. They'll believe when they see results. Until then, their opinion is irrelevant. Your opinion is everything. Make it a good one. Comfort and growth cannot coexist. You want to grow, you want to improve, you want to level up, but you also want to be comfortable. You can't have both. Growth requires discomfort, always. There's no version of transformation that feels good the whole way through. If you're comfortable all the time, you're not growing, you're coasting. Every time you grow, you're choosing temporary discomfort over permanent comfort. You're choosing the pain of learning over the ease of staying the same. That's the trade, and most people won't make it. They'll choose comfort every time. Then they'll wonder why nothing changes. Neil Donald Walsh wrote, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone, not near it. At the end, past the edge, in the scary place where you don't know if you can do it. That's where growth lives. Comfort is the warm death. It feels good, but it goes nowhere. Choose growth. Choose discomfort. Choose the thing that scares you. Because on the other side of that discomfort is the version of yourself you're trying to become. But you can't get there without walking through the fire. Comfortable people stay the same. Growing people endure discomfort. Pick your pain, the pain of growth or the pain of regret. Both hurt. Only one builds you. The things that hurt you most will teach you best. The worst thing that ever happened to you. It's probably also the most valuable. The relationship that destroyed you taught you what you won't tolerate. The failure that crushed you taught you resilience. The betrayal that broke you taught you who to trust. Pain is the best teacher. We just hate the lessons. You don't learn from success. Success feels good, but it teaches you nothing except to repeat what worked. Pain teaches you everything. It shows you your limits, your weaknesses, your blind spots. It forces you to adapt. It demands growth. And years later, you look back and realize that thing that almost broke you, it made you. Rumi wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you. Your pain isn't punishment. It's preparation. It's building capacity. It's teaching you lessons you couldn't learn any other way. The things that hurt you most will teach you best, if you let them. If you learn from them instead of just suffering through them. If you extract the lesson instead of just carrying the wound." Pain is inevitable. Learning from it is optional. Choose to learn, because the people who grow the most aren't the ones who suffered the least. They're the ones who learned the most from suffering. That's the difference. Suffering plus reflection equals wisdom. Suffering plus avoidance equals bitterness. Choose wisely. Your childhood wounds become your adult patterns. Your dad was never home, so now you're a workaholic who doesn't know how to be present. Your mum was critical, so now you're a perfectionist who never feels good enough. Your parents fought constantly, so now you avoid conflict until relationships explode. Your childhood wounds don't stay in childhood. They follow you, they shape you, they become the patterns you repeat without even realizing it. This isn't blame, it's recognition. You didn't choose those wounds, but you're choosing every day whether to heal them or hand them down. Most people spend their entire lives unconsciously reenacting their childhood trauma. They marry someone just like the parent who hurt them. They parent the way they were parented, even when they swore they wouldn't. They sabotage success because deep down, they don't believe they deserve it. Carl Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Your patterns aren't fate, they're programming, and programming can be rewritten. But first, you have to see it. You have to trace your adult behaviors back to their childhood origins. Why do you shut down during arguments? Why do you need constant validation? Why do you self-sabotage when things get good? The answers are usually hiding in your first 18 years. Find them, heal them, or spend your life being controlled by wounds you didn't even know you had. The people who judge you most are fighting battles you can't see. They're harsh, they're critical, they tear you down, and you think it's about you. It's not. People who are cruel are usually in pain. People who judge harshly are usually judging themselves harder. People who attack are usually defending against their own wounds. Hurt people, always. That person who mocked your dreams, they gave up on theirs years ago. That person who criticized your body, they hate their own. That person who said you weren't good enough, they've never felt good enough themselves. Their cruelty isn't about your worth, it's about their pain. And understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it does free you from internalizing it. You don't have to carry someone else's pain as your truth. When someone judges you, they're revealing themselves, not defining you. Robin Williams said, "Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind, always." That applies both ways. Be kind to others, and be kind enough to yourself not to absorb their projections. Their judgment is their story. Your worth is yours. Don't confuse the two. Retirement planning starts at 25, not 55. You're 25. Retirement is 40 years away. Why would you think about it now? Because of compound interest, because of time. Because starting at 25 versus starting at 35 is the difference between retiring comfortably and working until you die. If you invest $500 a month starting at 25 with an average 8% return, you'll have $1.4 million by 65. Start at 35, you'll have $600,000. Start at 45, $260,000. Same monthly investment, wildly different outcomes. Most people don't think about retirement until their 40s or 50s. By then, it's panic mode. They realize they're decades behind and need to save massive amounts just to catch up. Meanwhile, the person who started at 25 is watching their money compound effortlessly while living their life. Time is your biggest advantage in investing. Use it or lose it. Your 20s aren't for blowing every paycheck. They're not for pretending money doesn't matter. They're for setting up systems that will carry you for life. Max out your 401k. Open a Roth IRA. Invest in index funds. Do it now, automatically, and forget about it. Your 65-year-old self will be infinitely grateful. Your 25-year-old self won't even notice it's gone. Future you is counting on present you. Don't let them down. Your attention is more valuable than your time. You have 8 hours, but if you're distracted, interrupted, and scattered, those 8 hours produce nothing of value. You also have 8 hours, but if you're focused, deep, and intentional, those 8 hours change your life. Time is quantity, attention is quality, and in the modern world, attention is the scarce resource. Your phone interrupts you 150 times a day. Social media hijacks your focus. Email fragments your thinking. Notifications destroy your concentration. You think you're being productive. You're actually being colonized. Every app, every platform, every notification is designed to steal your attention and sell it to advertisers. Your attention is their product, and you're giving it away for free. Cal Newport wrote, "The ability to concentrate without distraction is becoming increasingly valuable in our economy. At the same time, it's becoming increasingly rare. That's your opportunity. Master your attention and you'll dominate. Let it be stolen and you'll struggle. Turn off notifications. Block out focused work time. Single task instead of multitask. Protect your attention like your bank account. Because in the attention economy, whoever focuses best wins, and right now, almost nobody can focus. Be the exception." Most arguments are about being heard, not being right. You're arguing, you're presenting facts, logic, evidence, you're destroying their position, you're winning. Except you're not, because they're not listening. They're waiting for you to stop talking so they can speak. And you're doing the same thing. Nobody's trying to understand. Everyone's trying to be understood. That's why the argument never ends. Most arguments aren't about the issue. They're about feeling heard. When someone feels heard, they soften. When they feel dismissed, they harden. It doesn't matter how right you are if the other person feels ignored. They'll fight you just to be acknowledged. The solution? Stop trying to win. Start trying to understand. Repeat back what they said. Validate their feelings. Show them you hear them. Then watch the argument dissolve. Stephen Covey was right. Most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply. Break that pattern. Listen to understand, not to respond. Ask questions instead of making statements. Seek their perspective instead of defending yours. Because the fastest way to end an argument isn't proving you're right. It's making them feel heard. Do that, and suddenly, there's nothing left to fight about. Your metabolism doesn't slow down. Your activity does. My metabolism slowed down. No, it didn't. Your activity level dropped. You stopped playing sports. You got a desk job. You drive instead of walk. You sit for 12 hours a day. Your body adapted to the new normal. That's not a slow metabolism. That's a sedentary lifestyle catching up with you. Studies show metabolism stays relatively stable from age 20 to 60. Yes, it drops slightly, but not enough to explain the 30 pounds most people gain in that time frame. What changes? Movement. At 22, you were walking campus, playing pickup basketball, dancing at parties, constantly active. At 42, you're sitting in meetings, sitting in traffic, sitting at dinner, sitting on the couch. Same food intake, half the movement. The math is simple. Stop blaming your metabolism. Start moving. Take the stairs. Walk during calls. Stand while working. Go to the gym. The body you had at 25, you can have it at 45. But not by wishing your metabolism was faster, by moving your body more. Your metabolism is fine. Your lifestyle is the problem. Fix that. Credit score affects more than just loans. You think credit score only matters when borrowing money? Wrong. Landlords check it before renting to you. Employers check it for certain jobs. Insurance companies use it to set your rates. Phone companies use it to determine deposits. Your credit score is your financial reputation, and it affects almost everything. Bad credit costs you. Higher interest rates on loans mean you pay thousands more for the same car, house, or credit card. Higher insurance premiums cost hundreds per year. Security deposits on apartments, utilities, and phones drain your cash. And some jobs won't hire you if your credit is too damaged. Bad credit is expensive. Good credit is profitable. Building good credit is simple. Pay on time, keep balances low, Don't open too many accounts. That's it. No magic, just consistency. Your 850 credit score won't make you rich, but your 550 credit score will keep you poor. Every late payment, every maxed out card, every collection, they add up, they follow you, they cost you. Protect your credit like it's your reputation, because financially, it is. Experiences compound, possessions depreciate. You buy a $50,000 car. 3 years later, it's worth $30,000. You've lost $20,000. You spend $5,000 on a trip to Japan. 3 years later, you still have the memories, the photos, the stories, the perspective shift. That $5,000 appreciated in value. That's the difference between possessions and experiences. One loses value, the other gains it. Possessions give you a temporary dopamine hit. New phone, new shoes, new watch. You feel good for a week, then it's normal. Then you want the next thing. It's a treadmill. Experiences change you. They give you stories. They shift your perspective. They connect you with people. They compound over time. The trip you took at 25 is still paying dividends at 45 through memories, relationships, and personal growth. Research from Cornell University confirms it. The anticipation of experiential purchases tends to be more pleasurable and exciting than the anticipation of material purchases. Also, experiences tend to meet people's underlying psychological needs. Translation: experiences make you happier, longer. Stuff makes you happy briefly. Stop collecting things. Start collecting experiences. Because at the end of your life, you won't remember the car you drove. You'll remember the road trip you took in it. The person you date is the person you'll divorce if you don't pay attention. They're charming but unreliable. They're fun but irresponsible. They're exciting but unstable. And you think, I can change them. Or they'll grow out of it. Or love conquers all. You marry them. 5 years later, you're in couples therapy because they're still unreliable, irresponsible, and unstable. Shocked? You shouldn't be. People show you who they are. You just chose not to believe them. Dating is the preview. Marriage is the full movie. If they're showing red flags in the preview, the full movie doesn't magically get better. It gets worse, because marriage doesn't fix people. It amplifies them. Stress reveals character. Marriage is stress. That thing you overlooked while dating, it's now your daily frustration in marriage. That quirk you thought was cute, it's now the reason you fight every weekend. Pay attention to patterns, not potential. Are they kind to service workers? That's how they'll treat you when the romance fades. Are they financially responsible? That's who handles your joint bank account. Do they take accountability or blame others? That's who you'll fight with for decades. Maya Angelou said it perfectly. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. The person you date is who you're marrying. If you can't accept them exactly as they are right now, walk away. Because they're not changing, and neither are you. Your morning routine determines your day. You hit snooze 3 times. You scroll social media in bed. You rush out the door, stressed and reactive. By 9 a.m., you're already behind, already anxious, already defeated. That's not a bad day. That's a bad morning creating a bad day. Your morning sets the tone. Control your morning, control your day. Lose your morning, lose your day. The most successful people have morning routines, not because they're disciplined robots, because they understand that the first hour determines the next 15 hours. Start reactive, stay reactive. Start intentional, stay intentional. Your morning is the only time of day that's truly yours. Before emails, before meetings, before other people's agendas. Protect it. Hal Elrod wrote an entire book on this. How you wake up each day and your morning routine, or lack thereof, dramatically affects your levels of success in every single area of your life. Build a morning routine. Wake up early, hydrate, move your body, plan your day, do something for yourself. It doesn't have to be elaborate, it just has to be consistent, because the person who controls their morning controls their life. The person who doesn't? They're controlled by circumstances. Choose your morning, choose your day, choose your life. Boredom is a luxury most successful people can't afford. You're bored. You've seen every show. You've scrolled through every app. Nothing interests you. Congratulations. You have too much time and too little purpose. Successful people don't get bored. Not because they're better than you, because they have too much to do. Too many projects, too many goals, too many things they're building. Boredom is a luxury they can't afford. Boredom isn't a lack of things to do. It's a lack of things that matter to you. If you're bored, it's because you haven't committed to anything meaningful. You haven't set goals that excite you. You haven't found a mission that consumes you. You're drifting, and drift creates boredom. Purpose creates urgency. When you have something worth building, you don't have time to be bored. Neil Pasricha wrote, "You'll never be bored when you're trying to get something done. Find something worth doing. Start a business, learn a skill, build something, create something, help someone, anything that matters to you, because bored people are people without purpose. And people without purpose, they're just passing time until they die. Don't be that person. Find your purpose, chase it, and watch boredom disappear." Your social media presence is your modern resume. You think your resume matters most. It doesn't. Employers Google you before they interview you. Clients check your social media before they hire you. Partners search you online before they date you. Your social media isn't just entertainment. It's your public resume. And it's telling a story about you. Is it the story you want told? That drunk photo from 2019? Still there. That angry political rant? Public record? That unprofessional comment? Searchable forever. You think it doesn't matter. It does. One viral tweet can ruin a career. One unfortunate photo can cost you a job. Your digital footprint is permanent, and everyone's looking at it. Recruiters, clients, investors, partners, they're all Googling you. What are they finding? Clean it up. Google yourself. See what others see. Delete old posts that don't reflect who you are now. Make your profiles professional. Share valuable content. Build a personal brand. Because in the digital age, your online presence is more important than your in-person impression. Most people form opinions about you before they ever meet you. Control that narrative, or let your drunk college photos control it for you. The compound effect works in reverse too. You know, compound interest builds wealth slowly, but it also destroys wealth slowly. You know, good habits build success over time, but bad habits destroy success over time. The compound effect isn't just for positive actions, it works in reverse, and that's where most people get crushed. One cigarette doesn't kill you, but one cigarette a day for 20 years. That's lung disease. One donut doesn't make you obese, but one donut a day for 10 years. That's diabetes. One skipped workout doesn't ruin your fitness, but skipping workouts for 5 years, that's chronic health problems. Small bad decisions compound into catastrophic outcomes, just as slowly, just as surely, just as inevitably. Darren Hardy wrote, "Small, smart choices plus consistency plus time equals radical difference." But the reverse is equally true. Small, bad choices plus consistency plus time equals radical destruction. You're not just building your future with good habits. You're destroying your future with bad ones. Every day, every choice, compounding. Pay attention to what you're compounding. Because the bad stuff adds up too. And by the time you notice, the damage is done. Most people overestimate 1 year and underestimate 10 years. You set massive goals for this year. You're going to lose 50 pounds, build a 6-figure business, write a book, transform your life. By February, you've failed, you quit. You decide you're not capable of change. But you made a mistake. You overestimated what you could do in 1 year, and you underestimated what you could do in 10. You can't transform everything in 12 months, but you can in 120 months. You can't become an expert in a year, but you can in a decade. You can't build an empire in 365 days, but you can in 3,650 days. The problem isn't your capability, it's your timeline. You're impatient with the process and quit before the results arrive. Then you look back 10 years later and realize you're exactly where you were because you kept starting and stopping instead of staying and building. Bill Gates said it. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. Flip your thinking. Set smaller goals for this year. Commit to the decade. Because 10 years of consistent effort beats 1 year of intense effort followed by 9 years of nothing. Play the long game. The results will shock you. The skill you develop in obscurity is what makes you valuable in public. Nobody's watching, nobody cares, nobody knows your name, and you're frustrated because you're working hard and getting no recognition. Good. This is exactly where you should be, because what you build in obscurity is what makes you valuable in public. The skill you develop when nobody's watching is the skill that makes you irreplaceable when everyone's watching. Every successful person spent years unknown. Nobody watched them fail. Nobody saw them practice. Nobody knew their name. They developed their craft in private. They got good in obscurity. Then, seemingly overnight, they were discovered. But it wasn't overnight. It was years. Years of work nobody saw. Years of skill building nobody recognized. Years of preparation for an opportunity that hadn't arrived yet. Drake spent years unknown, perfecting his craft. Kobe Bryant spent years in empty gyms, shooting thousands of shots nobody saw. J.K. Rowling spent years writing, rejected by everyone. They weren't lucky, they were prepared. And when the moment came, they were ready. Stop worrying about being famous now. Start building the skills that will make you undeniable later. Work in obscurity. Build in private. Perfect your craft when nobody's paying attention. Because what you do when nobody's watching determines what you become when everyone is. Your financial literacy matters more than your income. You make $200,000 a year. You're broke. You live paycheck to paycheck. You have no savings. You're drowning in debt. How? You make great money. Because income isn't wealth. Financial literacy is wealth. You can earn $1 million and be poor. You can earn $50,000 and be wealthy. It's not what you make, it's what you keep, and what you do with what you keep. Most people have zero financial education. They don't understand compounding. They don't know the difference between assets and liabilities. They don't budget. They don't invest. They just earn and spend. Earn and spend. Earn and spend. High income, zero wealth. Meanwhile, the person who earns half as much but understands money, they're building wealth, they're investing, they're buying assets, they're financially free while high earners are still trapped. Robert Kiyosaki teaches this. It's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep, how hard it works for you, and how many generations you keep it for. Learn about money. Read books, take courses, understand investing, learn about taxes, study wealth building, because financial literacy is the difference between working for money your whole life and having money work for you. And that difference determines whether you retire at 45 or die at your desk at 75. Most emergencies aren't emergencies. Your car breaks down. Emergency, your water heater dies. Emergency, your phone screen cracks. Emergency, except none of those are emergencies. They're predictable expenses you failed to prepare for. Cars break, appliances die, things wear out. That's not an emergency. That's life. And calling it an emergency is how you justify going into debt for things you should have saved for. Real emergencies are rare. Medical crises, job loss, natural disasters. Those are emergencies. A new transmission, that's a maintenance expense you should have budgeted for. A broken appliance, that's why you have an emergency fund. A cracked screen, that's a $200 expense, not a financial catastrophe. Stop treating predictable expenses as crises. They're not. They're just expenses you didn't plan for. Build an emergency fund for actual emergencies. Build a sinking fund for predictable expenses. Budget for car maintenance, home repairs, and technology replacements. When these things happen, and they will, they won't be emergencies. They'll be line items, and you'll handle them without stress, without debt, without crisis. Most people live in constant financial crisis because they call everything an emergency. Stop, plan for reality, and watch the emergencies disappear. Your tolerance for discomfort determines your ceiling. You quit when it gets hard. You avoid difficult conversations. You stay in your comfort zone. And you wonder why your life isn't changing. It's not changing because change requires discomfort. And your tolerance for discomfort is low. That's your ceiling. Your life will never exceed your willingness to be uncomfortable. Want to build a business? You'll need to tolerate rejection, uncertainty, and failure. Want to get in shape? You'll need to tolerate soreness, hunger, and exhaustion. Want better relationships? You'll need to tolerate vulnerability, conflict, and hard conversations. Everything worth having requires discomfort. And most people aren't willing to feel uncomfortable, so they don't get what they want. They get what's comfortable. David Goggins lives this. You will never learn from people if you always tap dance around the truth. The truth is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable. Success is uncomfortable. If you're always comfortable, you're not growing, you're stagnating. Raise your tolerance for discomfort. Embrace the suck. Choose the hard thing. Because your willingness to be uncomfortable is the only thing standing between you and everything you want. Most people choose comfort. Choose discomfort. That's where everything happens. The stories you tell yourself become your reality. You tell yourself you're not smart enough, so you don't try. You tell yourself you're unlucky, so you don't take risks. You tell yourself you're not worthy, so you accept less. The stories you tell yourself become self-fulfilling prophecies. You're not describing reality, you're creating it. Your internal narrative is writing your life. And most people are writing tragedy when they could write triumph. Your brain believes what you tell it. If you constantly say, I can't, your brain finds evidence that you can't. If you say, I'm not good at this, your brain makes sure you're not good at it. Your beliefs shape your actions. Your actions shape your results. Your results reinforce your beliefs. It's a loop. And most people are stuck in a negative loop they created with their own thoughts. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Change your story. Change your narrative. Stop saying I'm bad with money and start saying I'm learning about finances. Stop saying I'm not a morning person and start saying I'm becoming someone who wakes up early. The story you tell yourself today is the reality you live tomorrow. Choose your story carefully. It's more powerful than you think. Your energy is finite. Protect it like money. You say yes to everyone. You take on every project. You're available 24/7. You think you're being helpful, productive, valuable. You're not. You're burning out because your energy is finite. You only have so much, and every yes to someone else is a no to yourself. Every task you take on drains you. Every person you help costs you energy. At some point, you run out, and when you're empty, you're useless to everyone, including yourself. Treat your energy like a bank account. Every activity is a withdrawal or deposit. Most people make withdrawals all day and wonder why they're exhausted. They say yes to energy vampires. They work on tasks that drain them. They engage in activities that leave them depleted. Then they have nothing left for what actually matters. Protect your energy. Say no to things that drain you. Prioritize activities that energize you. Guard your time with energy vampires. Greg McKeown wrote, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. The same applies to your energy. If you don't protect it, everyone will take it. Learn to say no. Set boundaries. Choose activities that fill you up instead of empty you out. Because your energy determines your output. No energy, no results. Protect it accordingly. Your childhood doesn't have to be your destiny. You grew up poor. You grew up abused. You grew up with dysfunction. And you think that's who you are. That your past defines your future. It doesn't. Your childhood shapes you, but it doesn't have to limit you. You're not doomed to repeat the patterns you witnessed. You're not trapped by the circumstances you were born into. Your past is an explanation, not an excuse. and you get to decide what happens next. Oprah grew up in poverty with abuse. She became a billionaire and media mogul. J.K. Rowling was a single mum on welfare. She became one of the richest authors in history. Arnold Schwarzenegger grew up in a small Austrian village with an abusive father. He became a champion bodybuilder, Hollywood star, and governor. Your starting point doesn't determine your ending point. Your decisions do. You can break generational patterns. You can heal childhood trauma. You can rewrite your story. But first, you have to stop using your childhood as a justification for staying stuck. It happened. It was hard. It wasn't fair. Now what? You either use it as fuel or use it as an excuse. Fuel builds. Excuses trap. Choose fuel. Because your childhood doesn't have to be your destiny, unless you let it. The best time to start was 10 years ago. Second best is now. You wish you'd started earlier. You wish you'd bought that stock, learned that skill, started that business, built that habit. But you didn't. And now it feels too late. It's not. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is now. You can't change the past, but you can change the next 10 years. Start now. You'll be 10 years older in 10 years whether you start or not. The question is, will you be 10 years better? Or will you be 10 years older with the same regrets, now saying, I wish I'd started 10 years ago? Don't be that person. Every successful person wishes they'd started earlier. None of them regret starting when they did. Start now. Messy, imperfect, scared. Just start. A Chinese proverb says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Plant the tree. It won't bear fruit today, but in 10 years, you'll be grateful you started. Everyone who's where you want to be started before they felt ready. They just started. So stop wishing you'd started earlier. Start now. And in 10 years, you'll be glad you did. Your network is more valuable than your net worth. You're focused on making money, that's fine, but you're ignoring something more valuable: relationships. Your network, who you know, who trusts you, who will vouch for you, is worth more than your bank account. Because money multiplies through networks. Opportunities flow through relationships. Success is a team sport, and your team is your network. The best job offers don't come from applications. They come from referrals. The best business deals don't come from cold calls. They come from warm introductions. The best investments don't come from the internet. They come from your network. Your network isn't just contacts. It's currency. And most people are broke because they have no network. Keith Ferrazzi wrote, "The currency of real networking is not greed, but generosity. Build relationships by helping people. Add value, make introductions, solve problems, show up. Then, when you need something, your network shows up for you. That's how it works. Not quid pro quo, not transactional. Just genuine relationships built on value. Your net worth will fluctuate. Your network compounds. Build both. But if you have to choose the network. It'll create the net worth." Most open doors are unlocked. You just never tried the handle. You assume it's locked. You assume you're not qualified. You assume they'll say no. So you don't try. You don't ask. You don't apply. And you'll never know if the door was actually locked or if you just never tried the handle. Most doors are unlocked. Most opportunities are available. Most people say yes. But you'll never find out because you never asked. You don't apply for the job because you don't meet every requirement. Guess what? Nobody does. They apply anyway. You don't ask for the discount. Guess what? They probably would have given it to you. You don't reach out to the person you admire. Guess what? They probably would have replied. You assume rejection. So, you reject yourself. And the door stays closed, not because it was locked, but because you never tried to open it. Wayne Gretzky said, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." Try the handle. Ask the question. Submit the application. Make the request. Worst case? They say no. Best case? The door opens, and you realize it was never locked, just untested. Most people go through life wondering what's behind closed doors they never tried to open. Don't be most people. Try the handle. Your health is your wealth, literally. You sacrifice your health to build wealth. You work 80-hour weeks. You skip sleep. You eat garbage. You ignore stress. And you tell yourself it's worth it because you're building wealth. Then at 50, you spend all that wealth trying to buy back your health. And you can't. Because health isn't for sale. You can't buy a new heart. You can't purchase new knees. You can't buy back 20 years of neglect. The Dalai Lama was asked what surprised him most about humanity. He said, "Man, because he sacrifices his health in order to make money. Then he sacrifices money to recuperate his health. It's a losing trade. You can rebuild wealth. You can't rebuild health. Your body doesn't offer second chances. It just breaks down, slowly, irreversibly, and by the time you notice, the damage is done. Prioritize health now. Sleep 8 hours. Move your body daily. Eat real food. Manage stress. See doctors. Do the maintenance. Because wealth without health is poverty. You can have all the money in the world and be miserable if your body is broken. Your health is the foundation everything else is built on. Neglect it, and everything collapses. Protect it, and everything's possible. Your health is your wealth, literally. Treat it accordingly. You're not tired. You're leaking your life. You think you're exhausted because life is hard, because work is stressful, because you have a lot going on. But most of your tired isn't effort. It's leakage. It's the open tabs in your mind, the unfinished conversations you keep replaying, the decisions you keep delaying, the constant background noise of guilt. I should be doing more. I'm behind. I'm wasting time. That mental static doesn't look like work, but it drains you like work. Worse, it drains you without building anything. That's why you can do nothing all day and still feel tired, because you weren't resting. You were bleeding attention, doom scrolling, overthinking, switching tasks, checking messages, comparing yourself, living in 10 places mentally while your body sits in one chair. It's not tiredness, it's fragmentation. And here's the part that hits. If you don't fix the leak, no amount of motivation will save you. You'll keep chasing energy like it's something you need to find, when really it's something you need to stop losing. Your comfort zone is a prison disguised as a home. It feels safe, it feels familiar, it feels comfortable. You know the walls, you know the rules, you know what to expect. Your comfort zone feels like home. It's not. It's a prison. And you're the warden keeping yourself locked in. Every time you choose comfort, you reinforce the bars. Every time you avoid discomfort, you strengthen the walls. And soon, the prison is so secure that you can't escape even if you wanted to. Your comfort zone shrinks if you don't challenge it. The longer you stay, the smaller it gets. Eventually, everything becomes scary. Talking to strangers, trying new things, going to new places. Your world contracts. You become smaller, and you don't even notice it's happening because it feels safe. But it's not safe. It's suffocating. Neil Donald Walsh wrote, "Life begins at the end of your comfort zone, not near it, at the end, past the familiar, beyond the safe, in the scary place. That's where growth happens. That's where opportunity lives. That's where your potential is waiting. But you'll never find it in your comfort zone. Your comfort zone isn't keeping you safe. It's keeping you small. Break out. Choose discomfort. Choose growth. Because life doesn't happen inside the prison. It happens when you finally escape it. Most people die at 25 and aren't buried until 75. They give up on their dreams at 25. They settle for mediocrity. They stop learning. They stop growing. They stop trying. They coast for the next 50 years. Wake up, work, watch TV, sleep, repeat. Day after day. Year after year. Decade after decade. They're not living. They're existing. They died at 25. They just haven't been buried yet. This is the majority of people. They had dreams. They had ambition. They had fire. Then life got hard. They got tired. They got comfortable, so they gave up. And they spent the rest of their lives going through the motions, physically alive, spiritually dead, and at 75, when they're finally buried, everyone acts sad. But the truth? They've been dead for 50 years. The funeral is just paperwork. Benjamin Franklin said, "Many people die at 25 and aren't buried until they are 75. Don't be one of them. Keep dreaming, keep building, keep trying, keep growing, stay alive, not just breathing, living, pursuing, creating, becoming. Because the world is full of walking corpses who stopped living decades ago. Be different. Stay alive until you die. That's the goal. Don't just exist for 75 years. Live for 75 years. There's a massive difference." Cognitive dissonance. You call yourself a good person. You also just ghosted someone who trusted you. And now, somewhere between your ribcage and your pride, there's an itch you can't scratch. That's cognitive dissonance. It's the mental tension that sparks when your actions and your identity don't match. Your brain hates contradictions, so it rushes to resolve the discomfort. Not by changing your behavior, but by rewriting your story. You tell yourself, "They were too clingy anyway," or "I'm just bad at texting." You morph from ghost to justified escape artist in record time. And just like that, the dissonance quiets. For now. But it's not just relationships. You believe in honesty, but you lie at work. You see yourself as rational, but you rage buy crypto because your friend did. You think you're above gossip? Then you forward the screenshot. Dissonance everywhere. And every time, your brain scrambles to make it make sense. You're not changing your actions. You're changing the narrative so your actions seem acceptable. The truth, everyone does this. What matters is whether you notice, whether you stop and ask, do my actions reflect who I actually want to be? Or am I just storytelling my way into comfort? You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to be awake, especially when your brain is busy rewriting the plot, because the stories you tell yourself shape who you become. And if those stories are lies, you're not living your values, you're performing them. There's a difference. The halo effect. You meet someone new, they're charismatic, great smile, amazing taste in playlists, and before you even realize it, they're perfect. Funny, insightful, emotionally mature, basically a walking TED Talk, except they're not. Welcome to the halo effect. When your brain takes one positive trait, attractiveness, charm, intelligence, and uses it as a shortcut to assume all the other traits are just as glowing. That's how we end up trusting people who shouldn't be trusted. That's how bad ideas become gospel when delivered by someone in a nice suit. That's how con artists and cult leaders work. They start with one beam of light and your brain fills in the rest. You don't judge people by who they are. You judge them by the glow you want them to have. And this doesn't just apply to people. Companies, politicians, brands, you see one clean logo or clever ad and assume competence, ethics, and value. But shiny isn't the same as good. The halo effect isn't about gullibility, it's about speed. Your brain loves shortcuts. Pattern recognition kept our ancestors alive, but shortcuts often skip the truth. That charismatic person might be a narcissist. That successful company might be exploitative. That attractive stranger might be completely wrong for you. Slow down. Ask more questions. Don't let one bright spot blind you to everything else, because the halo isn't real. It's just light hitting at the right angle. And when you move, the illusion breaks. Energy management matters more than time management. You have 8 hours to work. You schedule every minute. You optimize your calendar. You batch your tasks. And by 2 p.m., you're exhausted, unproductive, and scrolling social media. Your time management is perfect. Your energy management is non-existent. That's the problem. Time is fixed. Everyone gets 24 hours. Energy is variable, and how you manage it determines what you actually accomplish. You can't be productive for 8 straight hours. Your brain doesn't work that way. You need cycles. Work, rest, work, rest. You need to do your hardest work when your energy is highest. For most people, that's the first 2 to 4 hours after waking. That's when your willpower is fresh, Your focus is sharp. Your creativity is available. But most people waste those hours on email, meetings, and low-value tasks. Then they try to do deep work at 3 p.m. when they're mentally fried. It doesn't work. Tony Schwartz wrote, "Manage your energy, not your time. Schedule your day around your energy peaks, not around convention. Hard work in the morning, meetings in the afternoon, creative work when you're rested. Admin tasks when you're tired. Match the task to the energy level. Because working 8 hours at 40% capacity is worse than working 4 hours at 100% capacity. Productivity isn't about time, it's about energy. Manage it accordingly.